Did I get that right? $1 trillion in student loan debt.
Yeah, within early May, we're going to hit the $1 trillion mark.
Now, how come people don't seem particularly worried about that? And just hear me out on what I mean by that. Today, as we speak, both the House and the President has a competing kind of proposal, but they want to go ahead and continue to make kind of student loans at the subsidized, I think, 3.5% or so rate. If that goes ahead, as it's well expected that it will, who's going to be paying or subsidizing for those loans?
Well, the taxpayers will, and it's a cost of about $6.7 billion, and that will come from taxpayers.
Right. How come the politicians in Washington never really say who's going to be footing the bill for that? I mean, both the Republicans and President Obama appear to be in favor of keeping the rate at this subsidized loan. Are they, in effect, let's call it, misleading the American people into understanding that those very same students are going to end up paying it just down the road as a form of higher national debt?
Well, and consider also, though, that someone with a bachelor's degree has more than double the federal income taxes of someone with just a high school diploma. So by providing the financial aid to enable them to graduate, the government's not just investing in that individual student's future, they're investing in the future of the country. And payback period for the student aid is about a decade. That most people work for 40 years, so there's 30 years of pure profit to the federal government.
That's an interesting thing. Now, hang on one second, Mark, because things are getting emotional on the House floor. Here we have John Boehner, who recently spoke on this subject.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is beneath us. This is beneath the dignity of this House and the dignity of the public trust that we enjoy from our constituents. They expect us to come here and to be honest with each other, to work out these issues, and to pick this big political fight where there is no fight is just silly. Give me a break. Vote no on this motion to recommit. Vote yes on the final bill. Let's send it over to the Senate now.
I think the point that the House Speaker was trying to make there, Mark, was, look, the Republicans and the Democrats both want to pass this thing, but for political reasons, they're kind of fighting over this thing right now. President Obama is threatening a veto. Is there too much politics involved with the issue of student aid?
Well, right now, what's driving this is politics, not policy. Neither party is proposing an increase in spending on student aid. It's just a matter of maintaining the status quo or cutting. With regard to the 3.4% interest rate issue, the disagreement is how to pay for it. The House Republicans want to cut the spending by tapping into a preventive care fund that was established by the health care bill. The Senate Democrats want to pay for it by closing a loophole with S corporations, or the House Democrats would like to tap into reduce oil subsidies. So each is proposing a method of paying for it that's unacceptable to the other side.
Right, but at the end of the day, somebody has to pay for it, isn't that right? Mark,
yes, absolutely.
I asked this question the other day to a guest I had on, and it's a little bit off the beaten track, but I'd be curious to get your thoughts on it. We're talking a lot about student aid, about the unbearable amount of debt that the students are taking on for an education. President Obama has gone out on the stump trail. In fact, he's gone to all these universities saying, the student debt is crazy, and now the Republicans want to raise interest rates and all these kinds of things. But there's very little discussion about the $16 trillion or so of national debt, which of the generation that are currently going to universities, they're the ones who are really going to be footing the bill. Am I missing something here, or should the students of today be more focused on the national debt than they are?
Oh, and the students are immediately focused on how to get a college education that pays well enough so that they'll be able to repay the debt. So the focus is much more short-term over the next 4 years, as opposed to the looming national debt bill that they will have to pay over their lifetimes.
Do the students, though, understand that in the scheme of things, they're getting a pretty bum deal from the baby boomers and from kind of the older generations of Americans? Or are they just so worried about their own student debt that they can't be bothered with the big picture?
Well, and most students are not counting on Social Security existing by the time they retire. They think that the costs have been passed on to them and that there will be nothing left for them to retire on. And I personally am not saving for. I'm saving 20% of my income for retirement instead of the typical 5 to 10%, because I'm counting that there won't be enough money to pay for my retirement by the time I retire. And also, it's a good thing to do because it gets me used to living below my means as opposed to above my means.